Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. So today we're going to be looking at the Florida governor race and the Florida Senate race and pretty much what new data says for the 2018 midterm election. So right now on your screen you should see the Florida governor race, and there was a poll taken pretty recently. I believe it ended on the 9th, yes, and today is the 12th, by Survey USA that shows the Democrat ahead by 4%. Survey USA has never been the most accurate polling group. However, Florida polling, very expensive for one, and number two, not many polls come out of it. So I can take, just going to take what we can get. So first of all, the Florida governor race. Andrew Gillum leads by 3% on a spread. The last poll taken was, again, on the 9th. The most previous poll before that on the 3rd, and then the 30th of August. Ron DeSantis somehow is underperforming Rick Scott in this race when there's currently a Republican incumbent with an approval rating of positive 18% over his disapproval rating. Governor Rick Scott from Florida, now running for the Senate race. If we look at the polling there, it doesn't look too good for the Democratic incumbent. So it seems like there possibly could be a flip in power here. The Florida Senate goes to the GOP, but the governor race goes to the Democrats. Who knows? But let's go ahead and look back at 2006, the last time there was a Democratic wave year. I believe this actually is the same independent candidate that ran against Marco Rubio but lost, a Republican who then went on to be an independent because he wanted to win the race there. So this was won by 7.1% by Charlie Crist. So that is a race that went to the GOP in a Democratic wave year. So we can't really use this as an example. But now that we're at a point where this race actually could be competitive, we're past the primaries. Voters have come back. They've come back to the GOP. They've come back to the Democratic Party to support their respective candidates. I just mentioned Arizona in another video, but they have come back in terms of the Senate race there. A tie and a tie. Keep in mind the most recent poll that shows Nelson winning was taken in June. Ended on June 21st. Okay, that's not at all an updated, accurate prediction or depiction of what the Florida voting base is like. Yes, CBS News shows Scott ahead by 5% around the same time. Okay, those two polls really conflicted. But Mason-Dixon coming out with Scott +3, and then Florida Atlantic University, Scott +6, Gravis with the tie, Quinnipiac with the tie, and ties are never good for incumbents, and then Survey USA with Scott +2%. The overall spread is Scott +1.7%. Okay, if you see here, keep in mind there was a point where Bill Nelson led by a huge amount. And then Rick Scott all of a sudden shoots up. Around June time, end of June, Rick Scott starts leading in these polls. And that's something that not many people would expect, especially in a year like this. But with Rick Scott's popularity and Bill Nelson's popularity, with Rick Scott just a tad bit more popular, not a good sign for the Democrats there. Keep in mind, if Florida does go towards the GOP, is gone for the Democrats. They have no possibility of taking back the Senate according to the 270 rankings. But Tennessee and Texas, like I mentioned in my Arizona video, are both races that are going to be watched, and they're going to be close. So even if Florida does go, again, I'm going to repeat this point because it makes sense. If we go to all the states where the Republicans are currently leading in updated polls, a couple days ago, 2 days ago, actually showing the Republican ahead by 3%, and then a couple more days before that shows the Republican ahead by 1%. Texas, Ted Cruz does lead. In new polls from Tennessee, Blackburn leads in Tennessee, and then in North Dakota, Kevin Cramer has led in the polls there. So overall, the Republicans would get 52 seats, and that's leaving 3 Trump states from 2016 and 1 Clinton state with a Republican incumbent. So even if they did vote how they are now, just based off party composition, we flip not Nevada, but keep that in the Republican column, show the Republicans at 53-47. Doesn't seem too bad for Democrats, but they would be losing a net gain of 2 seats. The Republicans would be gaining 2 and go to 53-47. But let's say the Democrats take those races, those pretty contested races. Nevada goes towards the Democrats. North Dakota goes towards the Democrats. Tennessee goes towards the Democrats. Okay, if Florida, Texas, and Arizona all go for the GOP, which at this point in time, they likely will, the GOP retains a majority. They don't need to care about losing 1 seat because they know they can win it back another time. This map is so bad for Democrats that, again, Florida, the fact that Florida is possibly going to go to the GOP after having a Democratic incumbent, the Democrats can win in North Dakota, in Missouri, in Indiana, in West Virginia, in Tennessee, in Nevada, in Montana, in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, and Wisconsin. All states Trump won in 2016 with disregarding state of Nevada. Oh well. The GOP still holds on to the majority because of states like Florida, Texas, and Arizona, whereas all the rest of the races, including Utah, Wyoming, Nebraska, Mississippi, and the special election, are already rated as safe. So again, the GOP definitely had an advantage here, with Florida new polls coming out showing the Republicans ahead in the Senate race. Not good for the national implications in terms of the United States Senate. But we can go ahead and look at the governor's race. Not much is going to change here. They don't really have a national implication because these are local and statewide elections, but still, very interesting to see that Florida can somehow vote for a Democratic governor while simultaneously voting for a Republican incumbent running for the Senate against a Democratic incumbent. So it's a lot of words, very tricky, but it's weird seeing the Democrats possibly winning in Florida. So let's flip. This is my old prediction. Now Florida will likely go into the Democratic column, but Florida going towards the Democrats from where they were before. This is a sea of red. This is it now. So a lot more blue on that map. The fact that Florida is going to the Democrats in this map, and then all of a sudden to the GOP in the Senate map, number one, shows how not partisan the state truly is. So the state isn't too partisan in terms of party voting down the lines. I mean, if we have a Democratic incumbent senator, you would expect a Democratic governor to be led to victory if it was a state like Maryland or Massachusetts. But Florida is a special state. It's a state that can also vote for a Republican presidential candidate, a Democratic senator, and also, I guess, a Democratic or Republican or even an independent governor. It truly doesn't matter. The fact that Florida is at a point where they can vote Democratic in terms of the governor's race and then Senate in terms of the for the Republicans, that's coming out, just solidifying Rick Scott leading in the polling here. We go over to the governor's race. Not too good for the Democrats. For the GOP there, actually. Gillum leads by an average of 3%. Polls show him ahead by 2%, now 3%, and now 4%, finishing off at 4% until a new poll is taken. Again, those numbers aren't looking too good for the Florida governor race for the GOP, but it is for the United States Senate. So that's pretty much the entire update that we have for the 2018 Senate elections in Florida, and then I made a video in Arizona. You can check that one as well. Overall, just very interesting numbers out of these states, but they're pretty much just been solidifying what we've been seeing in previous data. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all tomorrow.